Welcome to PelviBiz podcast. I'm Dr. Kelly Alhui. I've grown my pelvic health practice, orthopelvic physical therapy, and now I'm helping pelvic health professionals do the same. Each week, I give you the knowledge you need to grow your practice. Let's get into today's episode.
Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our sponsor, Jane. Jane is an all-in-one practice management software with features like online booking, scheduling, documentation, and a PCI compliant payment solution. The time you spend with your patients and clients is valuable, and filling out forms during their appointment can quickly take away from your time together. That's why the team at Jane has designed online intake forms that your patients can complete from the comfort of their homes. And to help them remember to fill out their forms, Jane has your back with a friendly email reminder set 24 hours before their appointment. This means that they arrive ready to start their appointment, and you can arrive ready to help. Jane's online intake forms are fully customizable to ensure you're collecting everything you need ahead of time, whether that's a credit card or file, insurance billing details, or signed consent. You can build your intake forms from scratch or use a template from Jane's template library and customize it further to meet your practice needs. If you're interested in learning more, head to jane.app/guide or use the code PelviBiz webinar at sign up to receive a 1-month grace period on your new account.
I'm going to talk about taking a vacation and what it was like to go to Switzerland. It was a dream vacation. It was something I couldn't even imagine, especially even just a couple of years ago, even taking a vacation like this. It was first class all the way. The scenery was something you see out of a freaking movie. It didn't even look real, to be honest, and pictures don't even do it justice. It was just unbelievable. I want to come on and just, talk about it and give you the lowdown of why taking a trip is just really beneficial and how it kind of applies to business. So the first thing is, when we flew to Switzerland, for those who don't know, I get very nauseous when I travel, super, super nauseous. I have a hearing loss in my right ear. And I just think it's something with any movement, something about it, just, I don't know, it makes me want to throw up everywhere I go. So I like to be lying down. And on the way there, we had first class seats. And thank goodness, because it was a long flight. It was 7 or 8 hours. I mean, I guess not that long, but I was able to lay down. And this is the first trip I've ever taken international where I had a first class seat and I was able to actually lie down on the plane. And that may mean nothing to anyone listening to this. But for me, it was everything. Because not only did I tell myself, when I was able to sit in those little booths that everyone had that you always walk by, you're like, I'll never be there. These people are all just really rich people and they'll never be there. I actually was one of those. So I proved to myself that anything is possible. Even I have limiting beliefs sometimes. I was able to be very comfortable on a long flight that potentially could have wrecked my whole trip because I get motion sickness a lot. And when I lie down, for those that don't know, when I lie down, it's very weird. I don't know what it is about it. It happens in cars, planes, all the things. When I lie down, I'm not nearly as nauseous than if I'm sitting up. We've done all these tests. I don't know what that is, but I can tell you that's straight up facts. And no, it's not mental. I really think it has to do with my hearing. So with that being said, having that seat meant more to me than probably a lot of you would probably say it means to you. It was just an eye opener in my life that it was the first thing that jumped out at me of the trip is, wow, just a couple of years ago, I had so many false beliefs about these people sitting in these seats, that they were rich, that they were just greedy, that I would never get there. And that just wasn't the case because I was now sitting in one. And it was just such a surreal moment. And it just made me super, super grateful. So that was, one thing. The other thing I realized was it inspired me. It really, really inspired me to go out and just do things out of my comfort zone. We went up on top of this is something called the Matterhorn. It's a big mountain. Okay. And we were at over 11,000 feet in elevation. And when I was riding up on the train, all these people were like, you can't hike down. There's no way. You don't have poles. You don't have the right shoes. My shoes were all slippery. And I'm like, no, you know what? We asked some lady, we're like, what is it to the next stop? How far do we have to go to the next stop? And she's like, oh, an hour and a half. I'm like, okay, let's just try it. If I slide, I slide. We'll support each other. Let's go. So we tried it. It was the best thing that we did there. Zermatt is really cool. So for those that are wondering about Switzerland, you should go to Zermatt if you're a hiker. It's amazing. And if you're a non-hiker like I am, I'm like a wannabe hiker, you still go there. It's beautiful. But they had the snow on one mountain, and then they had like all the flowers, and then they had the rocks, and then they had the sheep. That was my favorite. But all that being said, I realized when I was on that mountain hiking with my husband, I was just there. I was present. I felt alive. I felt that any worry that I had about being sick or whatever else, um, it was gone. And all I focused on was seeing the water melt from the glacier and seeing the clouds go over the Matterhorn, which is the big mountain, and making sure I didn't slip on a rock because I had no gripping on my shoes, and just breathing the fresh air. And this may sound so simple, but for me, this was the first time that I realized I truly checked out in a very long time, very, very long time. And I was like, wow, I have to do more of this in my life. And then another part of that was there was the sheep on the mountain, and the sheep were so cute. They like their heads scratched. They kind of have the same hair as I do. So even this lady was like, they have the same hair as you. Like, thank you. They're white, but they had this black face and then black little elbows. Oh my God, they're so cute. I even got a stuffed animal afterwards because I now want a sheep for real. And they just nibbled the grass. It was just amazing. It was beautiful, peaceful. They had horns, but they didn't you know, butt heads with you or anything. They just wanted you to pet them. They're cute. They're scratching their butts on the fence. It was just really amazing. So I was so present. Then the next day we went to St. Moritz. Very fancy. It's like Aspen. It has all the fancy stores. But there we were able to bike to different glaciers, different lakes. And we were able to get in the water and just do like cold plunges. And it was just epic. I mean, I just didn't think about one single thing. I didn't think about work. I didn't think about anyone else. I just was present and felt alive and just felt like, I don't know, it was just magical. The scenery is just like unbelievable. So I highly recommend just going someplace new, making it epic, and just being like, whatever comes my way. And this is not fancy stuff. Renting bikes was not fancy. Hiking up the mountain was not fancy. But that stuff to me, it means the most. It was just a really cool experience. And on top of that, we were able to stay at like the fanciest, nicest hotels and, have butlers. And I mean, it's just crazy. That stuff's crazy. But like have the nicest views of these lakes and all that is just beautiful. Like our balconies just overlook the massive mountains. And it was just like, wow, I could never, ever think and dream that I would be here in this room right now. And it was just one of those moments where you pause. And especially as entrepreneurs, I don't think we pause enough and give ourselves credit for like how far we've actually come, let alone even take time for ourselves because we got to figure out what's the next problem and then solve that problem. So I think that was super impactful. The next thing is my clinic. It was still able to run without me while I was gone, and we actually made a fair amount of money while I was gone. And that's amazing. Like I couldn't even have dreamed of that. I thought, I would have to be in the business, but no. Instead, because I was able to work on the business beforehand, now able to be on the outskirts of the business and be able to be the visionary to think how to keep moving the business forward so that we can keep impacting pelvic health clients. What else was really cool? The people were very nice, by the way. People in Switzerland, it's the cleanest city. They would leave their bikes unlocked. I mean, this was shocking to me. They don't have any military. I barely saw a police officer, no joke, in every city I went to in Switzerland. They would have like clothes outside of a store and the lady would shut down the store and the clothes would just be there. It's like, what? They don't lock up the clothes? No one would touch it. Of course, the rivers and the lakes were just so crystal clear. And it was just really like a natural cold plunge. It was just so, so beautiful. So I highly recommend if you're thinking about taking a trip, go to Switzerland. I can tell you all the places to go. We did the train ride. It was the Glacier Express train ride. Now that I kind of got nauseous on. 6 hours long. And it was a long time because it goes very slow. So because it's very scenic. So I had to put my head down and try to take a nap. But Yeah, it was just beautiful. And through all that, like even through all the nauseousness of the travel, it still was so worth it because the moments of peace where we weren't moving and doing like activities like the biking and the hiking and all that kind of stuff, were just so magical. And it's just something you couldn't even dream of. And I would go back and do it in a heartbeat, even with all the nauseousness and the travel and all that kind of stuff. So if you're thinking about, taking a big trip, you definitely should. It's 100% worth it. And those are kind of the lessons I learned that I applied to business. And I think the last thing I would say too is like, I could check completely out of business while I was gone, but I also checked in on PelviBiz clients while I was there because I wanted to. And that was the beauty of it. I could check in or I could check out, whatever I wanted to do. For me, I personally like really talking to my PelviBiz people. So I checked in on them, but I didn't have to because I set my business up to where it doesn't have to be that way. So, I just think that's very important. Like I just was doing what I wanted on vacation. I wasn't worried about PTO. I wasn't worried about, oh my gosh, this trip now, I can't take another one. If I get sick, what's going to happen because I don't have enough PTO? Like, I was just like, hey, we're going to live life today. Oh, we want to go out to eat? Okay, cool. Well, you know what? We can actually afford to go out to eat. Oh, wait, we want to go shopping here? We can go shopping here because it's okay. Like before, with $200,000 student loan debt, getting paid $62,000 a year, I mean, it was like, let's find a penny and hold on to it, like on the street or something, Like we couldn't even have dreamed of that. We couldn't even go into a store. I mean, no way. We couldn't probably stand next to the window and do the window shopping. I mean, we wouldn't even be allowed access in these areas for that to even happen. I can't say enough about being an entrepreneur and how much it will truly impact and change your life in so many different ways you never even knew how. So hopefully this inspires you guys to get out of the daily grind, do something different, and you'll learn some stuff. I consider myself a business and life coach. Are you ready to live the life of your dreams as an entrepreneur? If so, let's chat. See the episode notes below and go ahead and book a call. See you all next week.